So I'm going to talk about an interaction that I had, and this was a couple weeks ago, and I was shopping at Home Depot, and for a few props for a project, and I asked about masks, about the kind of paint masks and things that people wear. The kind that they sell at Home Depot, of course, are not the right kind. But I asked the woman, I asked the greeter, do you sell them? And she says, honey, they sell out the first hour, the first moment that they're in the store. And she was a sweet lady, and we got talking. I asked her a bunch of questions, and I found, oh God, this is terrible, because she caught me in an interaction too. This is bad. And this is just like part of reality now. And I think that at first, I think by now a lot more people are kind of used to it. They're elbow bumping and they're doing that whole thing. And if anybody does an elbow bump or insists on shaking your hand or hugging you or something like that, the truth is you can, if you offer an elbow, that's so much more mindful than going in for a handshake. I mean, a handshake is so brutal anyway. I mean, there are a lot of people who just don't even like it to begin with, germs or not. I have always been funny about it, but I've felt it's important to certain people, so I go ahead and do it. I also thought that this would be a good shake. That you can't screw it up. You just go straight in and you lock with somebody, and that is I thought that'd be a good solution. But then somebody pointed out that most people are sneezing into their the crook of their arm, and I think that might even be worse than your hand, because you're spritzing your hand, you're washing your hands all day, so if you sneezed into your hand, it'd be no big deal. But this is just soaking it up like a sponge, so don't go like digging in there. So don't try to do anything. Just no secret handshake. This though, I was wearing one of these. I don't know, it was red or whatever. It's like when I only had one of these at the time, and I was wearing it, and I was starting to do the essential oils thing. And at that point, I thought lavender would be the way to go. So I filled it with lavender, and lavender's not like it's not the one that they recommend for immuno defense, but it's also got this this capability. It's one of those great oils that mixes with other oils really well, and it's a scent that as the medicine in the lavender apparently is a binder between other oils. So it's sort of like a nice bridge, and it smelled good. And, I just figured it was better than nothing, and it was good. It's good. Anyway, the lady at Home Depot, I'd been asking about these masks, and I didn't specify what it was for, like I was making a movie. I didn't tell her that. That's like too long to explain. But she was a close talker, okay, and I respect that. That's okay. I can deal with that. I don't like it, and I try to back away from people. As soon as they get close, I start to back away, and then they creep up a little more, and I back away a little more. And it's not with everybody. It's just with people who are in a plague, a time of heightened awareness over bacteria, or it's like smokers. Like heavy smokers whom I don't know. Unless I've had a cigarette. If I've had a cigarette, I don't mind a bit. For some reason, I can't smell it on another person. But those people that get really close to you and won't get it. And I don't know how to ask them to back up. I did this to this woman. This is terrible. Although this was the beginning, this is a couple weeks ago, so we were all just kind of getting used to it. And I figure I'd greet her at Home Depot. She's encountering a lot of people, and so I was like, respectful space, and we'll carry this on. And I'm just going to let you know I got a boundary here. It's a literal boundary. And I found myself doing this as she was getting closer. Instead of backing up, because it's Home Depot and you can never stop backing up, you'll be around. You will just keep walking. But it's not like at a party. You have unlimited space. But I started doing this as she was talking to me. I started going, and she's like, honey, I don't have it. And I said, I know, but what if I do? I just said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm just, I'm a little concerned lately. I just tried to put it that way. And the truth is, I've been this way forever. I was amazed. I took my dad to, he had a doctor's appointment this morning. And it was, the kind that they is urgent enough that you go in and he's fine. But we it was like he was able to take care of the thing he had to do on the day. And it's good. When you get there, you get to the hospital and they ask you a bunch of questions, and they have masks. My dad was wearing his mask, You know, he has he got himself a mask for this purpose. And he gave me one too. I haven't used it yet. I figure I'm going to wait for an emergency. And I've got this in the meantime, which is, you know, like giving me a lot of comfort. And I don't know. I think as long as you're careful, it's going to be okay. If I was worried about the atmosphere, I would go for the full thing and this and another scarf. So I'm going to be scarfing up quite a bit. The amazing thing happened. You get asked some questions. You know, if you walk into a hospital now, or this was a clinic. You know, it's not an ER or anything like that. It was a part of U of M's hospital, and they ask you, have you been out of the country? Have you been traveling? Have you had any contact with anybody? Do you have a cough? Do you have a sore throat? And if you answer no to all the above, you can go in, and that's the pre-screening of some kind. And as you go further, everybody's being a lot more careful. I remember a doctor, Christ, in a pediatric unit, comes in, he says, put her there, you know, he just wants to like shake hands with me, and I did that. I'm like, yeah, hold on. He's like, what? He's acting all bent out of shape. He's like, what? I'm like, well, you have, you know, we're in a hospital, you know, I explained it. And I was, you know, I've got a weird relationship to bacteria, sorry. And he's like, well, I understand, but when you're in a hospital, you know, I mean, I find, you know, I have less to worry about. That was his rationale, and that's what he tried to give me as rationale. And I'm like, God, you know, I should trust this man. You know, he was a doctor in a pediatric unit. You know, I was you know, like my job out of high school was teaching drama, but also, you know, real deal childcare. There's just stuff going around, and at first I was sick all the time. And over time, you know, your immunity does build up, and it's kind of an amazing thing. But, you know, I also learned, this is what I learned, is don't touch anything. Do not touch anything, and wash your hands frequently. Bleach as a way of disinfecting. I don't know what they do now, but you know, I put myself in charge of cleaning that bathroom. That bathroom was mine. Like I did it up, and that thing, you know, and now I like the smell of bleach. People are like, you know, like, they don't recommend using it on your clothes, and it gives me a feeling of security. Although if you're cleaning with it now, and I do recommend cleaning with it now, just mix it into a little, you know, mix it in with some water, but don't mix it with anything else, they say, because chlorine and alcohol, if you mix chlorine and rubbing alcohol, it makes chloroform. And you know, like I can see it, you know, because bleach, it's just really strong, powerful stuff. And if you enhance it with ammonia or vinegar or any of those things, it becomes highly much more toxic. So just really look into that before you do anything. Like get a bunch of opinions, not just from me, but you know, get a bunch of opinions. Don't go throwing it all together in mad science in your kitchen. I don't care how freaked out you are. You know, bleach, it is powerful stuff. And if you were mopping with bleach all the time, you know, if you were mopping floors, your shoes would fall apart. And I said, oh yeah, okay, well, why is that? Your shoes completely fall apart because it's happening at this like molecular level, that bleach is breaking apart those molecules, and you know, and then the component parts of the bacteria are, you know, now they're still there. They're on their own. Some of them are going to die, but they're going to they literally just dismantle. It takes apart the molecular structure of a thing, and then somebody said that those component parts, those split apart, you know, new compounds, whatever, can be even more dangerous than the bacteria. So, you know, what I was thinking about is just I've got a peculiar relationship to bacteria, and it's meant that you know, I think that for the longest time, I think people thought I was really neurotic, and now I think a lot of people are adjusting to these little things that I started doing a long time ago, just because I was freaked, I was paranoid about bacteria, but for good reason at the time, because I've been sick. I've been sick a lot, and I had caught, you know, like I caught this one thing that I couldn't, you know, I didn't have insurance at the time, but it laid me up in bed for like weeks with a fever, and you know, it's just this probably a really complicated flu, and this is back in this would be 1997. That's when everything happened in my life. Everything happened in 1997. I feel like I did so much living in that year. You know, it's kind of an incredible thing. Like now I look at it and I'm like, God, I think that I packed in, because, not long after that, I was kind of chilling, and I was in school, and I would be engaged and all this other stuff later. I was kind of settling into a much more mature life, and I've always kind of been like an adult. I've always kind of been that way. I don't know. I was giving up childish things, but in 1997, everything happened. I just lived. I had an amazing time, and but I was also sick as a dog for parts of that. That was tough. That was not easy to be dealing with. That fear. But after I was like, I got out of that. One of the things I did, you know what it was. I turned 21 that year. I mean, that's when I, that's when it was a big year. It flew by. I woke up and I was 22. I mean, it was just a big, it was big. It was a free for all. It was amazing. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that I woke up to was like, dude, you're sick all the time. And you're just this walking, disease. And so yeah, I started with a few things. I was just like, okay, what? Maybe that thing that kid touched, and I knew it. A kid would hand me something, and it was just already wet, with like saliva or other fluids. And a kid, kids would do things like wipe their nose on you or bite you. I was bit by a kid one time. Then I'm also like, okay, stop touching any handrails. Stop touching doorknobs. Stop touching anything. Like, there's always a better way. And some people had observed that I grab doorknobs like this, and I do a lot of things like with my hand covered. I wear gloves. I wear gloves inside sometimes, and I'm just that's going to be very, very normal. Like, there was a reason, there was a purpose behind this level of cleanliness. So yeah, you've got to wash your body every day, really, really well. You've got to, you got to wash. You really, really do. That's serious. You've got to wash your feet every day. That's really important. And another thing that I do sometimes, you know how much your feet sweat? It seems to me that you're losing a lot of fluid through the bottoms of your feet, right? I mean, that's like the sweatiest part of my body. It's sweaty right now, and I mean, like, for no reason. And if you have sweaty feet, that means that fluid is just draining out of you. And so I heard from somebody that you should put the essential oils on the bottoms of your feet. And it does this like oil pull thing. So I put like peppermint oil on the bottoms of my feet, and it cured stink foot. I mean, it's incredible. My feet used to stink, man. But you gotta change. You can't ever wear socks 2 days in a row. You can't, except for wool socks. You can do that because wool fibers don't hold the same, don't hold the smell in the same way. But you be the judge of that. The peppermint oil, it freshened up my feet. It eradicated stink foot, is what it did. It eradicated it. So yeah, I recommend peppermint oil on the bottoms of your feet. It feels really good. It's like giving your feet a mint. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't mean to, this actually wasn't what I was intending to talk about, but fact is, I think more and more, we're all a lot more aware, I hope we're a lot more aware of just our relationship to bacteria. And I'm not freaky about it, I'm slick about it. Like, if I was doing like cleanliness things, like, you probably really never notice. I was carrying hand sanitizer around with me, I have for a long time. I was fist bumping instead of shaking hands, unless somebody insisted. But then, here's another etiquette thing that I've noticed lately. It's really funny. I did notice this. A couple days ago, there were a couple of holdouts, people who were still shaking hands. Somebody goes in, I observed this funny, very, very polite, very slick operation. And the fact is that those of us who are a little neurotic and who have developed these habits over time, the ones you used to call neurotic, but we've been washing our hands regularly, and we've been cleaning surfaces with the right stuff, and we've been, we believe in essential oils, just cause, it can't hurt, and it smells good, whatever. I saw a genuine handshake the other day. It was really cool. This guy comes in, he's just, hey, what's up? It was a meeting of two people, and they did the thing. And then it was like, then they sat down, and then this other, I recognized that I had, I had a kindred soul, because I saw one of them sit back and he busts out his hand sanitizer, and he just made it look like it's just but he waited the requisite probably at least a minute. I mean, let's say that you have a minute, and I think we also know that you have about a minute before those bacteria get into your face. I think he recognized that we have about a minute before that bacteria, kicks in, and that's it was amazing. So, in other words, there are these like etiquette things that we just have to do, and if somebody doesn't want to shake your hand, fucking thank them. If somebody doesn't want to go in for that, like thank them that they don't, or that you're not being held to some cultural expectation at all. And in fact, that person is your brother. That person is really looking out for you. That person is a genuine empath, and they're protecting themselves from you too. Who the fuck are you? So I thought about getting a I don't know, I don't think this would be too painful if you got a see this right here? See, you got one of these? I think everybody's got two of these. It's that thing right there. I thought about getting it tattooed one time. I wanted to, I got this idea from an episode of Laverne and Shirley, but you put a zipper on it. I thought a zipper would be a really, really funny weenus tattoo. But I also thought, why don't you put a hand there, or two hands, shaking hands, and on one, okay? That's the right one. This is the handshake. Then over here, you put a set of lips. So this one's a handshake, and this one's a little kiss.